Peeps, Kenny Molotov here at home, and I'm about to do another Q&A, so let's get into some delicious questions and some even better answers. Let's go. So Peeps, we're just winding down right now for the holiday season. As you can see, I have the Christmas tree set up in the back. In a couple of days, it will be Christmas. For all of those that are celebrating, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. For those that aren't, Happy Holidays. I hope you get to rest up, see some family, just do things that help you with your mental health. That's always what the best thing is about this time of year. You work so hard up until this point. Hopefully you can put your feet up. So we're gonna get into a couple of questions that you guys asked me in the last vlog that I set up. We got a lot of juicy ones, so let's get right into it. All right, first one is from Jared Edwards. I'm a plumber as well, and I do a lot of roofing. Have you ever done much roofing as a plumber? Jared, thanks for the question. I haven't done much roofing as a plumber. In fact, I wouldn't say I've done any roofing at all. What we typically do when we do go on roofs is connect in the vent that's going out through the roof, and that usually takes anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to a half an hour. But no, we don't do any shingles. We don't do any other work aside from that specific part of plumbing. Let's keep going. Vinrod34, great video. Do you do on-call work? Working for yourself you can refuse, but I work for a company right now and it is part of the deal. I don't know any plumbers that enjoy being on call. What are your thoughts? Alvin from Florida, first year apprentice. Alvin, thank you so much for the question. We do on-call work. Dad and I are an emergency service company, so if a customer calls in the middle of the night, we get up and we go. And the way it works for Dad and I is we typically do this for our already established clientele. The reason why we do that is because if somebody we don't know who wasn't even referred gives us a shout in the middle of the night and asks us to come, we don't know them. We don't know if they're a good paying customer or whatnot. So Dad really likes to be careful on who he decides to go out for. So we'll go out for all the established clientele or referrals from other customers that we know. And usually those customers that have done the referring will let us know, hey, I have a friend calling in. They're good to go. Help them out if you can. Another thing I gotta say though, I don't typically work on call when Dad is in town. I only work on call when Dad is out of town, because when Dad's out of town, somebody's got to take care of the company. So that's me. That's me being officially on call. During the weekends though, whenever there is a call, Dad's typically closer to work, so he'll go and take care of those things. And every once in a while he'll get a call that's a little bit bigger where he has to do a K1500, and that's when he'll call me on the weekend and say, hey, you busy? And I'll say no or yes, and then we'll end up going out together. So yes, we do on-call work. It is, as you said, something that no plumber really wants to do, but fortunately and unfortunately, that's the product we're selling. We're selling reliability when it comes to on-call work. So Alvin, I hope this helped. I know it's a little bit difficult to get used to on-call work, especially when you're used to having your evenings to yourself, but it's something that gets easier with time. And remember, as you get better as a plumber, eventually you'll be able to get to these calls and finish them up pretty quickly as well. So I hope that helps. All right, so we have Patrick Morabito. Hey Kenny, I just finished school and was wondering what would be the best time to start applying for apprenticeships. Is it bad to have a little break? Cheers. And how important is having a driver's license? Thanks. Patrick, thanks for the question. What I would say, it really depends if companies are hiring right now. Now, the only thing that I know is I've gotten quite a few messages from other people trying to get into their apprenticeship, basically saying, Kenny, I've been applying for months and months and I can't seem to find work. Nobody's taking on apprentices. And that experience makes me a little nervous. So I would personally say, if you have time to send in resumes, start sending resumes now, because you don't know when companies are hiring. So it's always in your best benefit to start sending out resumes immediately, in my opinion, so that you can try to get your foot in the door as quickly as possible. And then if your foot gets in the door, wait till your probationary period at work's done and see if you could book time off or a vacation then. But that's only my opinion, and it really depends on what your priorities are. If you are really burnt out from school and you really don't want to start applying for work, maybe now's not the best time for you to do that. Maybe you need some time to recuperate, gain your mental health back, get some energy in you so that you can start the application process. So Patrick, that one's going to be a little bit on you, but like I said, from my experience, people have a hard time getting into their apprenticeship. The sooner you start, I feel, the sooner you'll get in. And your second question is, how important is having a driver's license? Patrick, this is a pretty big one. I personally think a driver's license is a really big asset for you, because here's what you got to remember. At some point, that company wants to get you so good at plumbing that they can send you to the job sites all by yourself. And I don't think it's really comfortable grabbing your toolbox and stepping onto a bus and commuting that way. It's always better to be able to have your tools inside a truck and then be able to make every call that everybody's asking for. Now, keeping in mind, that's a service sort of idea. Service plumbers need their trucks and they need their stuff in the back so that they can access it quickly. If you go into new construction, it's a little bit of a different game where all the tools are actually on some of the job sites where you don't have to bring anything to work except yourself, which means that the commute isn't terrible. You could take a bus actually to work and it'll be fine. But if you're traveling around in service, you're gonna want your tools in the back ready to go. Also, you're gonna want some extra parts, extra fittings, extra pipes to be able to move along with you. So that's something you should keep in mind. If you're going into service, it's a little bit more important. If you're not going into service, then maybe it's a little bit easier to get by without it. I know the Venn family, for example, said that a driver's license was really crucial to them as well, and I think they do a lot of custom homes. So Patrick, I hope this helped. Thanks for the question. Jaden Beck. Hey Kenny, great content. I'm in school to be a plumber, pre-employment program, and in the near future I would like to run my own business. Is there any tips / suggestions on how to first start up and how to get your company name out in the field? Thank you and keep up the awesome videos. Thank you, Jaden. This is a tough one. Well, Jaden, I think the very first thing that you have to do is hone the skills that you need. And I find that when you go through your apprenticeship, you're also at the same time doing a little bit of marketing because you're meeting other contractors, you're meeting other tenants and clients, and throughout your apprenticeship, when they see you getting better, before you know it, some people are asking for your phone number in order to call you directly. So I think the apprenticeship sort of starts that business relationship off with customers and clients and other contractors. And you get work from all of those individuals. Sometimes you have contractors call you up and say, hey, we need a plumber. You think you want to do a side job on the weekend? Sometimes you have customers call you up and say, hey, look, my drain is backing up. Any way you can run out by yourself, sort of thing. So that's something to keep in mind, that during your apprenticeship, you're not only learning the skills of plumbing, but you're also learning the interpersonal skills between you and customers and you and other tradespersons. Assuming that you're starting off in service, the next thing after that would be thinking about saving money to potentially buy a truck. But even before the truck, buying your own tools, that would be a good thing. And then after that, you got to start looking into how much it'll cost to open up a business, getting a business account, and all those sort of things. Now, in regards to getting your name out there as a company, what you got to understand is, especially for Dad, it was all word of mouth essentially. So there's a lot of doing good work, which also brings in other customers. Dad would go to a job site, he'd do a job, people would like the product that he was selling, and they'd hand the business card to their friends and family, basically saying, hey, I know a really good guy. If you need a plumber, call this guy. So that's one way to do it. Another thing would be advertising online, if you can build up a website. Also finding newspapers that you could put your company name into. And marketing is an entirely different field that is never ending. There's social media marketing, there's marketing in print where you're doing signs and when you're doing newspapers and stuff like that. So the list goes on. Jaden, I hope that helped. Thank you for the question. All right, next one's from David Dillon. Hey Kenny, great video. Thanks for the information. Apprentice plumber here from Kentucky in the good old USA. Sup, David? Whoop, whoop, Kentucky. I have two questions for you and one is for your father. One, for you, top 5 tools you believe an apprentice plumber should have. 2, for your father, what are the top 5 attributes he is looking for as a master plumber from his apprentice? So David, I gotta tell you right off the bat, Dad's not in town right now. I won't be able to get this question answered for you, the second one, but I can definitely tell you top 5 tools, and I could also tell you from my experience what I think Dad would say to that question. I hope that's enough for you. All right, David Dillon, top 5 tools for an apprentice. Number 1, a pair of channel lock pliers. Number 2, a multi-screwdriver. Number 3, a tape measure. Number 4, a sparker. Number 5 is a level. Those are my top 5 tools right off the bat. In regards to your latter question, what I think Dad would say is reliability of the person. He would love that person to show up on time, be ready for work, willingness to learn and actually take the time to listen and understand. 3, getting good directions and taking good directions, actually listening to what people want rather than cutting pipes that you shouldn't be cutting. Number 4 would be patience. Patience is a big one when it comes to your apprenticeship because you want to get your hands on the tools. You're going crazy because you really just want to learn, when a lot of times you have to sit back and just watch. And that's always the hardest part. At least it was for me when I was doing my early years of the apprenticeship. Number 5 would be asking questions, being actually engaged in the work and asking questions about what's going on, how things need to be done, etc. David, thank you for the question. Peeps, I actually missed one from Walter White. Why did you choose service rather than new construction? I'm still in high school and my dad is working for himself in new construction plumbing, complete rough into finish. I just wanted to get an opinion of someone else who works in the field, which is a better way to start off after I finish getting my license and working something for myself. Walter, I got into service because my father is a service plumber. It's the roots of the company, and as soon as I got in, that was what I started learning right off the bat. So I didn't decide to go into new construction because the availability of work that I had was my father, and that's where his feet were already planted. Now, in regards to which way to go, should you go into service or new construction, I really think it comes down to where can you get work immediately, because the skills of plumbing are the skills of plumbing. I don't think there is a better way of going, whether it's new construction or service work. I think wherever you can get your foot in the door is the way to do it. Now, here's the thing. I've heard from other plumbers it's a little bit more difficult to go from new construction to service just because there's a lot of troubleshooting going on in service that doesn't take place a lot of time in new construction. Maybe there's some merit to that, I'm not so sure. But you still build a skill set in both fields that is plumbing related. You learn how to work with MJs, you learn how to cut cast iron, you learn how to work with copper, you learn how to solder, you learn how to sweat things out, etc. But wherever you can get your foot in the door, and if that's your father who's doing new construction rough-ins, get your foot in, start learning, and you'll be in good shape. I got one from Yomish Rankers. I got a question. If you're a plumber, does it matter if you get your Gas 2 license? And if you get it, will companies pay you more? Yomish, thanks for the great question, and it's a little bit difficult to answer because gas license in Ontario and the plumbing license are two separate licenses. You're either a gas technician or you're a plumber. You can get both, but I'm not really sure if it bumps your price up as an individual. I just know that there's more potential for you as an individual to get all sorts of different work. What I definitely know is that you're going to be able to take on more work than just a plumber or than just a gas technician, so that in the long run should sort of be paying a bit better, because if plumbing gets slow, gas might be good, and if gas is slow, plumbing might be good, sort of thing. So that's something to keep in mind. Great question. All right, we got one from Josh McFate. Actually, we got a couple from Josh McFate. Shout out to Josh. Josh is asking, who runs service when those jobs are going on, when we're doing remodel work? And then he goes, when are you getting your master's, and how you have to go about the process in Canada? One more question, do you guys perform leak detections, for example, slab leaks under copper pipes? First things first, Josh, when we're doing a remodel job, we typically take turns of who goes out and does service. The way it really works out is Dad typically leaves me when I know how to do whatever it is I need to do at the job site. He'll leave me for all the venting and all the drainage work. In this remodel that I've been doing lately with Dad, I was doing a little bit of service at the beginning because there was a whole stage of breaking that had to take place, and Dad had a crew running at that time doing the breaking and cutting of cement. It was my turn to sort of take on the service side of the company and get those things done, but typically one of us is working at the remodel and then the other person is doing all the service work on the side. And now that my skill level's a bit better, Dad is more comfortable about actually sending me to either job site, whether it's the remodel or whether it's service. So the second question is, when are you getting your master's and how you have to go about the process in Canada? I'm going back in January to school in order to do my third block of in-class session, which is my advanced plumbing session. It's going to be 8 weeks long, and you have to do this 8 weeks for basic, intermediate, and advanced. That's the process here in Canada. It takes about 5 years to do, 9,000 hours of on-job training, and then 3 in-class sessions, and then you're good to go to challenge the exam. Your final question is, do we perform leak detections, for example, slab leaks on copper pipes? Josh, we don't typically deal with slab leaks on copper pipes. I have yet to encounter that problem, but there are a couple of type of inspections we do. We do plumbing inspections when it comes to clogs. So we have drain camera inspections where we throw a drain down a pipe, as you probably already know, and we do a lot of inquiry into finding other leaks in buildings. For example, somebody will see a leak on the 10th floor, we'll go all the way up, we'll start doing some investigative work, and we'll find out if it's the storm drain. We do that sort of stuff on the service side. Josh, thanks for the support, brother. And our last question is by Aaron R. Hey Kenny, love your videos. Your videos are a great aid along with the plumbing books I've been reading. Aaron, thank you so much for those positive words. How do you make sure the slope is the correct ratio when laying new horizontal pipes? I saw you use the level on the pipes in the video and adjusting the soil with shovel, but how did you know the amount of soil to move and where to move it? Also, do you not worry about the soil moving as the flooring or concrete slab is installed above? Also, don't you worry about how ventilation pipes are sloped? In a different plumbing video I saw on YouTube, the plumber suggested sloping the ventilation pipes so they can drain into waste pipes to prevent corrosion. Lots of great questions here, Aaron, and I'm going to explain this to you very quickly. I just ran out to get the level so I can show you what you're looking for. Aaron, you're trying to slope pipes at 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch per foot, and I'm going to show you what I'm looking for on the level. When you have a level just like so, this is perfectly level right there. What I'm aiming for is a little bit of a deviation from the actual level point. You see where the level's at right now? That's sort of what I'm looking at, and that's about 1/8 of an inch per foot. What you're avoiding is slope that looks like this, where it's all the way on the end. You're trying to get it so it's just a little bit off center, basically. And that really depends on whether you're going 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, and that's something you have to decide with the journeyman at the beginning. Which way are you going to set it? And also, what's the diameter of the pipe? That's something to keep in mind as well. In regards to moving soil around, when you see me pulling the gravel in the direction I'm going, it's because I already looked to see what the level was of the pipe when I initially put it down to rest. And when I saw that it had back slope, I would take rocks off the one side and I'd put it to the other side just to get a level. I'm doing everything just by feel at that point. When I'm moving the rocks around, it's not like I'm calculating exactly how many rocks I need. I'm just moving it in the direction I need it to go. And once I get it to the side that I need the rocks to be at, I then put the pipe down, see what the level is at, and I start moving it around till I get the level I approximately want, which is usually around this. And what you see is me constantly checking back to make sure that that level hasn't changed. If it does and the inspector sees that it's going the wrong way, you got to rip out that pipe and start again, basically. Are you worried about the soil moving as the flooring or concrete slab is installed above? Yes, you are, and that's why we typically work with gravel. If you see the type of soil we're working with, it's got a lot of rocks involved in it, so that when you put the pipe down on these rocks, those rocks won't typically move too much after you put the cement down. Once the gravel's inside and the pipe goes on top, that's typically where the pipe's going to stay, because the way the cement works is it's going to actually work its way around those rocks rather than push something really far down. Also, do you worry about how ventilation pipes are sloped? In a different plumbing video I saw on YouTube, the plumber suggested sloping the ventilation pipes so they can drain into waste pipes to prevent corrosion. So the way this works, Aaron, is in the Ontario Plumbing Code Book, from what I remember, you do not require any slope on ventilation pipes whatsoever. If an inspector were to look at your vents and see that they didn't have any slope, he couldn't decide to not pass that job based on that information. However, you are not allowed to trap ventilation pipes. You can't have a vent go down and then back up and across. It must be a constant, continuous direction down rather than down and up. One thing I should say though, even though by code it is not necessary to slope vents, we do it all the time for a similar reason to what that plumber was saying. We typically slope pipes not necessarily just for corrosion. The reason why we do it is because that vent will eventually lead up to open air. And if you have a pipe that's outside, it's also going to be taking on some sort of storm water at some point. So it's going to rain, or if you're up north enough, it's going to snow. And at some point, water is going to get into that pipe. So we typically slope it so that it will lead into the drainage system and be taken out with the other waste as well. Peeps, I just want to thank you so much for sending out all those awesome questions. I hope the answers help. I hope that if you're celebrating Christmas, you have a wonderful Christmas. And if you're not, that you have a great time. Happy holidays to all. I just want to thank you once again from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you've been providing me and all those kind, great compliments about how much you're liking the videos. It means the world to me, and I'm so happy that I could be helping you on your journey. Peeps, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.